Well, from school shooters to serial bombers, the news these days is absolutely filled with tragic and seemingly inexplicable acts of violence against the innocent. My next guest believes that he can explain it. He was born in Egypt, is a Middle East expert, founder of the Church of the Apostles in Atlanta, and he's the worldwide ministry leader of an organization, a wonderful organization called Leading the Way. He's a radio and TV broadcaster, has a global audience. He's the author of 35 books, 35. The latest is called The Hidden Enemy, and it reveals the dangers to America from aggressive secularism as well as radical Islam, as well as how Christians can counter it. Would you please welcome a dear friend, Dr. Michael Youssef. Michael, great having you here.
Thank you. Honor. So honored.
Michael, you have said that there is a correlation between the secularism of our culture in America and what we're seeing with the rise of radical Islam. A lot of people would never make a connection. What's the connection?
Well, the connection is as plain as anybody can see. They have one thing, actually they have several things in common. Chief among them is a hatred for Judeo-Christian ethics and Christianity as a whole. This is something they really both join together in hating. The deception is all around. It's coming from the secular media and it's coming from the Islamists, but at least the Islamists have a theological basis for their deception. It's called taqiyya. That is, you can lie to the infidel as long as you are not having the upper hand. Until you have the upper hand, then you don't have to worry about it. But, so you lie. I mean, you absolutely tell bold-faced lies. And so we get Al Jazeera broadcasting into the Arab world some absolutely untruth. Here's the question that President Sisi asked me. He said, how come America and England and Europe never joined us in calling the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization like I did here in Egypt? And I said, I have no answer except they're fearful. Terrorism worked. Fear worked.
You said there's a difference between Islamists and Muslims. And I think many of us know people who are Muslim, but they're wonderful people. They're medical doctors, they're lawyers, they're professors, and they're responsible people.
Some of the dear friends of mine.
Tell me the difference, and how do we know the difference?
Well, the difference is in interpretation of the Quran. There are, I don't want to get too complicated, but there are earlier passages in the Quran and there are later passages in the Quran. The group also called the moderate Muslims are really focusing more on the earlier passages, and the Islamists who want to take us all the way back to the 700s in the desert culture, they're the ones who follow the later passages in the Quran, which says kill, maim, and all the kind of stuff that you see happening with ISIS and the affiliates of ISIS. I was speaking to a group of very prominent leaders in England, in London. We were in a private club, and I was talking about you have 85 Sharia courts in London. They said, no, it's over 200 now. I said, just in 1 year? And that's what they want to bring here. Look at London, and look at Europe, and we are only 10 years behind.
Before we run out of time, I want to ask you about school violence, the proliferation of things that just seem totally out of character for an American culture. What, from a cultural standpoint, do you think is happening to this country?
It is a spiritual problem. You see, God, the Holy Spirit, is a gentleman. He's a refined gentleman. And the moment you kick God out of our public life and you kick him out of schools, look, I'm an immigrant. I'm a legal immigrant. And I love this country. I love it dearly. Sometimes I think I really love it more than some people who are born here. And therefore, I'm going to say and do, like I'm doing in these books, to wake up the general public, particularly the Christian community. We are like an oak tree inside a high fence and with barking dogs. And yet the tree is going to come down, not because of anything, threats from the outside, but because the termites are eating it from the inside. So you got the secularists who are really militant and adamant. You already have folks on the show talking about it. And they are the ones they want to include, according to their idea of inclusion, the Islamists. Not the Muslims, but the Islamists. Because I have some friends who are Muslims who say, please explain to the Christian publics that these people, we hate them more than you do. And I met media personalities. I met 4 cabinet ministers, including the chief of staff of President Sisi of Egypt and President Sisi, and they're all of one voice. You people in the West need to wake up.
Well, I hope that we all wake up and start realizing that the problems we have in this country are spiritual.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot of what you talk about in the book, The Hidden Enemy. And I want to thank Dr. Michael Youssef for joining me. You can find the book, The Hidden Enemy, and learn all about his ministry leading the way online at ltw.org. That's ltw.org. Dr. Youssef, great to have you here. Delighted to see you. Your books are so insightful and practical, and we thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Delighted to see you.